All right, this is another episode of This Week in Search. My name is Matt Coffy, CEO of CustomerBloom, where we're going to talk today about the recent happenings in search marketing, especially with Google, because they seem to be the one who is really in center focus. Now, what happened recently? Well, we had a little change in local listings. See, Google has determined that it wants to take up all of the space on the search results, especially in mobile. So they changed up the algorithm again to represent only 3 local listings out of the hundreds of local listings that could be out there. But there was a 7-pack, which was pretty standardized, and actually that was pretty stable for a long time. But now we've got a 3-pack. This is really interesting. This sort of focuses the fact, and I will say that if you don't have an SEO company helping you with your local listings, if you're a local company now, you are really out of luck, because you're not going to be found for your organic listings unless you've really done a good job in getting yourself centered around the map listings, which will be brought up if you're a local company and you have a local search. And this is really indicative of what we thought was coming. Now, we had actually kind of preempted this by getting reviews almost a month ago. We started getting reviews because we knew there was rumblings of some of this happening, and we knew that part of the algorithm was review based. And so we absolutely started just getting fresh, local, real reviews, not fake reviews, reviews from customers. And what ended up happening is it put us back on top of the map listings for local searches. So we do think that there are ways, besides having a really great profile in Google, you know, their local map listings. I mean, that's just sort of par for the course. But the reality is that this is an absolute different world. It is a popularity contest. And the popularity contest is the guy with the most reviews, positive, obviously, or even just reviews, plus a good map listing, plus a solid amount of traffic going to those map listings, will inevitably win out in these 3-pack, or snack pack as they've called it, listings. Now, even on the mobile phone, which is kind of interesting, you can't find the map listings unless you scroll down for a search. So the local searches have now become more predominantly biased towards ads. So this is really something you do need to consider in your search strategy if you're a local business. If you want to be found for your profession, you need to make sure you've got your map listings really dialed in, and you're going to need to get reviews, because that seems to be driving a positive factor. In fact, we tested it out by actually putting in reviews, and we moved from place 2 to place 1 within an hour. So that really lets us know that there is an algorithm that's basing itself on positive reviews, fresh reviews, and a good map listing. So if you need someone to help on that, obviously you know who to call. So we have also been working on looking at some of the other factors that have come into play. Now, recently, John Mueller, who's the guy at, let's just say, Google, who kind of says, like, we do this, we do that with the algorithm, has said that we don't track interactions on sites. For instance, filling out a form, or completing a task, or completing some sort of micro conversion. Interestingly enough, we've found from our data that activity on a site, meaning more time on site, more click-through rates, better conversion through different pages, seems to be working to help rankings. So who's right? Or is Google trying to hide something? Well, I think it's kind of a mix of both things. Through Chrome and through other analytics, and other types of things that would give Google data, there is a quality algorithm being run. Now, we all know that backlinks and so forth still have some degree of influence on search engine rankings for domains. But there is a huge body of work saying that long-form content with long time on page, with page views, with page speed, all these little aspects of really what happens to the user and the user metrics, the big U as people are calling it, has been affected recently by Google's Panda 4.2. And I think that really what's happening is that the algorithm itself is being slowly kind of figured out. And I don't really want to say it'll ever be figured out, but we're really starting to see some of the real-time quality aspects meaning that we're seeing that absolutely there is something to do with how people interact with the page being part of the algorithm. Whether or not John Mueller is trying to say that specific aspects of task completion on a site aren't being tracked, that's just what he wants to say. But reality is, we know there is a quality algorithm being run, especially in real time now. That's why that Panda 4.2 last release took 3 months, or will be taking 3 months. We haven't really seen the ramifications too much of it. Some people did get affected, but the reality comes down to very simple things, which is that you have to have quality content that is being read, and you have to have time on site and activities being run, because it's an absolute popularity contest on the domain side to see if people are actually interacting, having something they find, closing a browser window, or not hitting the back button to really show to Google that you have got what they want, which is a quality user experience. So those are the things we wanted to talk about. One aspect that we might consider that's coming down the pipe is that there may be ad blockers. So iOS 9 supposedly is going to have an ability to block ads on web pages or websites or search results. And this really is I could say this reminds me of the kind of beginning of how things sort of started to change in the telecom industry back in the 80s and 90s, where the dominance of a monopoly was broken up. AT&T was broken up, and they had all these other companies that were split out. And it took a while, but inevitably everything kind of split off, and now there's all these different companies. But what's happening is that people are going to want to not be inundated with just a page of ads on their mobile device. Even though the information is there, the question remains, what technology will come, especially because the phone manufacturers and other companies like Apple can get invited into a little battle of what they want to show. Now, we know that Google still takes the main priority for the search engines, but does that mean that you can't interrupt what they present for data? And we'll see what happens. This is a very interesting realm we're going to be coming into in the next couple of years as we start to see the aggregation of these different types of platforms change the user behavior, because the users are going to request it. No longer maybe do you need to see a continual flow of ads from Google that may not be representative of what you're looking for, but you may have a choice. So we'll see. Hope you enjoyed this episode. We'll see you in the next.